Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Food for Thought. It's been a few weeks since we've had it out, but I've been grinding for the squad in different ways right now, and it's just kind of prevented me from being able to sit down and do another episode of Food for Thought, especially with Hump Day Hoops Hysteria getting back and going. But this week, I'm back at it. I'm dropping a show this Saturday morning. And this week, I think we have a really good show. I think I have a really good show lined up for you. It's going to be about why people love the Bulls and really hate the Warriors. It's one I'm looking forward to doing and one I'm excited to talk about. And before I get started doing that, though, one thing I would like to talk about is, in sports, when guys take the max money, they take the most money possible, they always say, well, let's not be serious about winning, otherwise you'd be taking less money so you can get more good players with you. And the one, example of this I keep hearing is Tom Brady. Oh, Tom Brady's taking less and less money, $15-16 million, He's not taking $30 million a year. It's like, well, just because you take more money doesn't mean you're any more committed or less committed to winning than any other player out there. The thing is, Tom Brady has a supermodel wife who makes more money than he does, so this whole, well, Tom Brady, he's won 5 Super Bowls and he takes less money. It's like, well, that's not really the case. His wife makes a whole lot of money, and so he can afford to take a lot less. Guys like Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, your big-name guys out there, Bell, Gurley, they should go out and make their money, and just because they do, it doesn't mean that they're any less committed to winning than Tom Brady is. And on top of that, people are always telling the players to take less money. Well, why doesn't the owner take less money? The owner makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year from his franchise, and he's collecting top dollar, and somebody out there is making a fraction of that on his team. So you look at an owner. Say, why don't you just take less money instead of taking 100% of the net revenue? Why don't you just take 75% of it and just give like a Christmas bonus, or divide the dividends of that remaining share up equally amongst your team, whether it be football, baseball, basketball? Why don't the owners take less money? That's one thing I've always wondered, but no one ever discusses it, and I think it's unfair to ask the players to do that. So let's just go ahead and get into our topic then of the Bulls and Warriors here. And I'm going to start with the Bulls. And of course, with the 90s Bulls that everybody loves to talk about and romanticize now, I'm going to start off with MJ. And MJ is really the sole component of a lot of these Bulls teams. He was really, kind of what won them their titles, so to speak. Granted, he did not win one playoff game or series before Scottie Pippen. So, let me back that up. He definitely won a playoff game. That was a misspoken word there by me. But he didn't win one playoff series before Scottie Pippen. But, Michael Jordan won the Finals MVP, arguably the greatest player ever. He was the centerpiece in all of those. And really, Michael Jordan scored the ball so much. I make fun of people for this all the time, but he had the look in his eye, he had the tongue sticking out, the sweat dripping down the face. He had, the pictures where you see Michael Jordan bent over, grabbing his shorts, flu game. He had all of these iconic moments and optics for what a winner looks like. And for whatever reason, the American people really grabbed onto this whole idea of what a winner looks like, and that's what they saw in Michael Jordan. They say, man, that guy's got it. And this whole he's a winner thing, that's what you got from Michael Jordan. People never really said that before him. When you had Michael Jordan winning these titles, and you wanted to give a reason why LeBron or why Michael's better than LeBron or Larry or whatever, one of the reasons is he's a competitor, he's a winner. And that's kind of what you get with Michael Jordan. And really the closest player to emulate that since Michael Jordan, the whole what a winner looks like and the optics of that, has really been Kobe Bryant. That's one reason with Michael Jordan. The next is the Jordan brand. The Jordan brand acts like a shield with Michael Jordan. Every generation, you forget more of his fault as a player and a person, and the legacy continues to grow. You think Michael Jordan probably scored 100 points a game, shooting 100% from the field 20 years from now, so there's no telling where it could go. But you go back and watch finals tapes. He shot air balls, he had his shot blocked, he got dunked on too, he got crossed over. There are a lot of faults that Michael Jordan has as a player. It's just, he was a great player, and sure he has a highlight reel of players doing great things against him, but he has the optics of being a winner. He has this Jordan brand shield that's kind of grown over time, and he's had the iconic moments with the game winners, the flu games, all this stuff, the dunk contest. Everything. But then on top of that, Michael Jordan, you never knew much about his personal life. You hear more and more about it now through certain guys in the media, but not having social media really helped Michael Jordan. No one ever realized that he was addicted to gambling. No one ever realized that he committed adultery on his wife. No one ever realized that he punched Steve Kerr in the face in practice, that he wasn't always the greatest locker room guy out there. You have all these things going on that really benefited Michael Jordan at that time and what really add to the Bulls' aura and legacy. And let's just continue that directly into Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen for Michael Jordan was the ultimate Robin. For whatever reason, guys or sports fans, I guess I should say, they really respect that number 2 guy who assumes his role and sets an example for all role players on that team. And Scottie Pippen was that ultimate guy. I mean, Scottie Pippen was an All-Star, a Finals, or an MVP candidate. The year Jordan didn't play, the Bulls won like 55 or 57 games or something like that. Scottie Pippen was an MVP candidate. They almost got to the Eastern Conference Finals again after losing arguably the best player ever. But with MJ, he was that ultimate Robin. On top of that, he came from a really small school, so he has this underdog kind of aura and mentality to him, and a lot of people gravitated towards that. And then on top of it, he's a high defensive energy guy. Energy guy, period. He did so much for them. He acted like a point forward. He defended 1 through 5. He was arguably the best defender in the NBA. So that's another reason, being that ultimate Robin, coming from that small school, providing that defensive presence and that energy on the court to go along with MJ. And then you look at arguably probably or one of the most popular players of that era, really, and Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman, he had the hair, he had the personality, he had the hustle on the court, he had the off-the-court stuff. He had everything going on for him. I mean, he dyed his hair. You never knew what he was going to dress up as a personality guy. I mean, you could do interviews with him and see, what a person and what a character he is. You can't help but be gravitated and want to at least watch something like that. But then you look at his hustle on the court, and you combine that with the off-the-court stuff. I mean, he would go out to a party on the weekends and stuff like that, whether they be in Chicago or on the road somewhere. He'd go out drinking all night, and then he'd come the next day for their game, and he'd grab 35, 36 rebounds, and he was the ultimate guy for giving up his body on the court, sacrificing every personal kind of achievement you could to have team success. He would defend, he would rebound, he would run the floor. He would do everything that you could ask from a player that didn't involve scoring the basketball, and he relished that role better than anybody. And then, we have Phil Jackson. And I know the most recent example of Phil Jackson we have is the stint that he had in New York. But think back all the way to the 90s, he was the Zen master. He was able to bring Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, John Paxson, Bill Cartwright, so many guys. He would be able to bring all these different personalities and skill sets together, and he literally got the most out of all of them. He's kind of like a Steve Kerr or Greg Popovich, a Brad Stevens even. You look at those coaches in the NBA, everybody likes them, and the thing that they all have in common is that when a player plays for Brad Stevens, Pop, Kerr, whoever, those coaches are literally going to get the best out of their players. Whoever plays for them is going to have their best years with those coaches, and that's exactly what you saw here with Phil Jackson. He did that with Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Bynum, Pau Gasol. And again, for whatever reason, people like that. When they have a coach that's that good, that's that smart, who can get that level of talent and commitment out of their players, people gravitate towards that, and that's what Phil Jackson brought by being the Zen master of the triangle offense, getting all those personalities to mix. He was also a really unorthodox kind of guy. He had an intriguing personality. He had guys doing yoga together. He had guys coming into the locker room for pregame meetings with Native American icons and rituals all over. He was a really different kind of guy, and being that different, being a Zen Buddhist that he was, that really struck a chord with a lot of people in a positive way and an intriguing way. And then, most importantly, I think, and this kind of goes back to with MJ, with what a winner looks like, what people expect out of a player. All these guys here, as far as players, MJ, Pippen, and Rodman, to some extent, they were quote-unquote loyal. And I don't know if they were loyal per se, but here's the difference between some of the people with the Warriors or LeBron today even, is that the team was built by the front office and the staff. So you didn't have all these players jumping ship. You didn't have players changing teams. You had Bird with the Celtics forever, Magic with the Lakers forever, MJ, Scottie, Rodman, very long stints, if not most of their stints, or most of their time with their career with the Bulls, with the exception for Rodman, of course, But then you look at the bad boy Pistons. They spent the majority of their careers there. And what that did is that brought a sense of loyalty that MJ and Scottie Pippen and some of those other guys can hold now, and it kind of goes in with everybody's, when they look at sports and they have their 8-year-old brain or their 10-year-old brain in their head and thinking with their heart instead of their brain, they're looking, boy, those guys are winners. Boy, those guys are really loyal. Those are my favorite players. And so like that, the whole mentality is kind of carried on since the 90s, and people look at the Bulls and they think, boy, that's how sports ought to be. And it's just not the same today, I mean, there's more player mobility and there's more player control, player power. But with that team, they were built by the front office and the staff. They all had this sense of loyalty. They all had kind of what a winner looks like, and they all had their certain roles, whether it be the hustle on the court, the ultimate Robin, being a coach that could get the best out of a player. And really, outside of Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson, there is a huge, huge contrast between them and with the Warriors today. And with the Warriors, let's just go ahead and start with their most iconic player, Steph Curry. And let's just go ahead and start with the Steph Curry and LeBron comparison and kind of how that rubbed, at least LeBron fans and people who can appreciate LeBron the wrong way. Steph, he won back-to-back MVPs, with the second one being a unanimous MVP, something no one's ever done in NBA history. Bill Russell, Shaq, Michael, you name them, they've never done it. And people started to draw on this idea that Steph Curry was better than LeBron James, that Steph Curry was somehow passing up LeBron as the best player in the world, and we got the idea that LeBron was slipping. But, Steph Curry is 6'3", 185 pounds, not a very big guy. He averages less assists as a point guard than LeBron does as a power forward or a small forward, less rebounds, worse percentage, career points per game favors LeBron. There were a lot of reasons why you could say LeBron was still better than Steph, but with that whole idea that Steph was somehow better than LeBron, now that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And then you mix in also the fact that on-court antics that Steph Curry had. He would have the shimmy, he would dance, he would do all this stupid stuff. I mean, in the finals, he acted like he took a shit on the Cavaliers' court during a finals game, which, that's not that big a deal. A standalone event by itself, it's not that bad, it's kind of funny when you think about it, but when you combine with the antics, the shimmy, the mouthpiece, the throwing the mouthpiece and hitting somebody, the idea that people think he's better than LeBron, when you mix all that together, that at least rub people who like LeBron and people who appreciate LeBron the wrong way. And another guy, though, for the Warriors that people really don't like is Draymond Green. He's a nut kicker. He likes to kick guys in the nuts. He likes to punch guys in the groin area. He that's Steven Adams. He's been mixed in with a lot of altercations on the court. He's yelled at people. He's gotten confrontational with players and refs at times, and he's another one of those guys who's really just rubbed people the wrong way. He's got a very unapologetic attitude. He, the thing is, his numbers don't look that great, and you mix that in with an unapologetic attitude, what that kind of looks like is you being that kid in a group project that gets an A+ on, but you don't do a whole lot, and then you walk around cocky like you're some smart kid now, and when everybody kind of really knows, like, hey, you're not doing that much, like, we can look and see what you're doing, and you're not doing that much. The one thing I will say that Draymond Green does really hold his weight in and is one of the best in the league at is defending 1 through 5. He can do that. He's a terrific rebounder as well, too. And then what really pushed... The thing is with the Warriors, you didn't hate them that bad. It seemed like for a good while that it was just LeBron fans and people who appreciated LeBron as people who hated the Warriors. And that was all fine. It wasn't that big of a deal to hate the Warriors. But then when Kevin Durant that one summer decided to go ahead and head up on to Golden State there, that really swung the pendulum big. A lot of people labeled him as taking the easy way out. His team was up 3-1 on the Warriors, and they couldn't close the deal out. They wind up losing the series, and then Golden State goes on to lose the finals to the Cavaliers and LeBron and company. But you look at a team that couldn't get it done against the Warriors and the Thunder, led by Kevin Durant. He says, it doesn't look like I can win here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Golden State. It's a better opportunity. It's going to be an easier opportunity for me. And people really, really just thought that was the end of the world. They thought that he broke the NBA. And I guess as far as the postseason goes, last year it was a little more competitive than the year before. But their first year they just ran through the postseason for the most part. But another team that ran through the postseason was the Lakers in the middle of their three-peat. They lost like 1 or 2 games that entire postseason. Nobody hated them. They don't have the same mix-up what I'm just explaining here with the Warriors. But yeah, Kevin Durant really swung that pendulum hard for them. People found easy reasons to hate him. They called him a snake. And then he had the burner account, the burner Twitter account, where he was going on there and roasting fans, defending KD for leaving, defending himself as a third person for leaving, attacking teammates. So obviously that's not going to sit well with anybody, any Warrior fan, KD fan, Warrior personnel, regular NBA fan, doesn't matter. No, that's not going to sit well with anybody. No one likes you keeping your ear that low to the ground. No one likes you being that soft, that much of a diva. And if you really feel that way, just go ahead and say it to someone's face instead of hiding behind a different account. And then this offseason, what really swung it even more than Kevin Durant was Boogie. Again, another guy who took the easy way out. I can defend DeMarcus Cousins, and I mean even Kevin Durant going to the Warriors doesn't bother me. But Boogie, think about it like this. You can work as a doctor or a lawyer at any hospital or firm across the country. Are you going to go work at the shittiest hospital for that same pay? Or are you going to go work at the best hospital for that pay? Or that worst firm or that best firm? You're obviously going to choose the best one. Boogie was locked into the mid-level exception. Nobody was giving him a deal. You're not going to sit there and go sign with the fucking Phoenix Suns or the Dallas Mavericks for $5 million. You're going to go sign somewhere where you can win and get a championship ring potentially. And that's what he did with the Warriors. I can't fault him for that, but a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, with people putting their 10-year-old or the 8-year-old brain in their head and thinking, player loyalty, you try hard, you look like a winner. That didn't match that 8-year-old, that 9-year-old, that 10-year-old mentality when Boogie went to the Warriors. He really took control of his own destiny and maximized his opportunity for $5 million. Can't knock him for that. And it more so than taking the easy way out, he has a lot of on-court antics. He gets a lot of technical fouls, gets in a lot of physical altercations with players, has a bad rap, has more of a me guy than a we guy attitude and persona, and that kind of mirrors that of Draymond Green, which I talked about. People don't really already like that. And then, the one thing I hit on with the Bulls is being team built by the front office and staff. The Warriors staff, they drafted Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And like I said, though, when that team was winning with Harrison Barnes and Bogut and all them dudes, and it was just the big three as far as Steph, Clay, and Draymond, there wasn't a whole lot of pushback on the Warriors. There wasn't that much hate. And then Kevin Durant comes, and it's like, oh my God, these younger guys, these younger generation, they have no loyalty. They just take the easy way out. They'll do whatever it takes to get a championship. Could you imagine this guy playing on that team back in the 80s or 90s? Oh my God, end of the world. That's kind of where this hate stems from. You got these guys that are quote-unquote taking the easy way out, and that just doesn't sit well with people. And I'm not telling you one way or the other to think on that, but if you can't tell me anything else, I mean, that's what it is. These guys are controlling their destiny. They're controlling, their livelihood and their legacy. And it kind of goes back to what I talked to at the very beginning of the show, talking about players and the money. You can take all the money you want. It doesn't mean you're any less committed to winning. You can go play anywhere you want with the best players you want. It doesn't mean you're any less committed to winning doing that, If anything, you've shown that you can compete and play with other players of your same skill set. You can play well with others. You can get along with others. You can work with talented people in your industry. That's a positive thing in most industries. When you go back to the doctor and the lawyer comparison, I don't see why it's any different in the NBA. So that's kind of where we'll leave it here when comparing why people love the Bulls and hate the Warriors. And if you guys have any other shows or anything like that, definitely go ahead and tweet it out to us. But as always, listen to the Mothership Show on Mondays. Listen to Hump Day Hoops Hysteria on Wednesdays. Knuckle Sandwich every Thursdays. And we'll have this show coming out more often than not here as the weeks go on. As always, stay saucy.